Today on the Topping Show, Kamala Harris launches her presidential campaign on a drag race, but not the one with cars. Harley Davidson woke policies go viral. Gavin Newsom orders the removal of homeless encampments. The House voted to yes to condemn Kamala Harris' handling of the southern border. Just Stop Oil extremists convicted of damaging Van Gogh's flowers painting. Chipotle beats Q2 estimates, but warns of margins may be a shrinking. John Deere increases their layoffs. And GE, their windmill blade falling off, is being blamed to a manufacturing defect. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free 50 caliber musket or flintlock pistol with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn more about how we celebrate the 4th of July, all of July. Also, and lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Chipotle beating Q2 estimates, but warns that their margins might be shrinking. Now, pulling up their stock, it looks like, overall, past 5 years, they've been doing exceptionally well. Up about 243%. Go ahead and I'll pull it up right here for us. See, overall, really nice, that's a pretty good stock growth. So, granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, it'll be trading differently, but about $50.83 per share now. Again, none of this is financial advice, although, personally, hindsight's 2020, which I invested years ago, of course. Now, there's a little issue there. You see that really big drop right there? That's not good. Past year, still up 22.68%. Year to date, it's gone up 15%. The past month, down 18.93%. Last week is down about 1%. It's a market cap about $1.4 billion. That's a shame that I didn't see them paying any dividends. A little disappointing for the folks who look for those types of stocks. So, not great news for Chipotle. Now, so this news is brought to us thanks to Reuters and Yahoo Finance. They say, quote, Chipotle tops quarterly estimates, warns of margin pressure going forward. This is by Garthik Van Eyck, as well as Waylon Cunningham, who are writers over there. You can see the cliche Chipotle little logo there. And they say, quote, Chipotle Mexican Grill surpassed Wall Street estimates for quarterly sales and profit on Wednesday as demand for the rice bowls and burritos held up even as prices increased. Shares of the company parted early morning after gains were still 2% higher after executives said Chipotle expects margins to be under pressure over the next couple quarters. The company's restaurant-level operating margin rose to 28.9%. from 27.5% a year prior. It said it expects margins to be around 25% though in Q3. Chipotle also said they would buy back $400 million worth of stock, which is a big, again, none of this financial advice, but traditionally speaking, that's when the company thinks, hey, we are going to be worth a lot more in the future. We're going to buy our stock when we see it as it being as on a discount, which again, doing that in and of itself also tends to increase the stock price on average, just industry specific, just kind of good rule of thumb. Now, they say that, quote, the California-based chain has been able to buck a larger slowdown in customer traffic with the U.S. restaurant industry, partially because Chipotle's loyal customers kept returning to its outlets despite inflation and straining household budgets. Which, it reminds me, what was it, the fact that we just passed $1 trillion in U.S. credit card consumer debt? Was it 6 months ago or something like that? Yeah, again, this is a luxury, not a necessity. CEO Brian Nicole says, quote, the second quarter was outstanding as successful at brand marketing, including the return of the chicken El Pastor, drove strong demand to our restaurants. I don't even know about that. Unquote. And they say, quote, this is the article going back, the company recorded foot traffic growth of about 17% during the quarter. Really? Outperforming the wider fast food and quick service restaurant category, which only increased 0.63%. Chipotle's comparable sales rose 11.1% the second quarter, compared to the analyst estimates of 9%. According to LSEG data. So they've been doing pretty darn good when most restaurants are, closing their doors, shuttering, and no longer able to operate, especially in California, where California passed a law. Yeah, we think it would be good to have $20 minimum wage for fast food. Yeah, they lost about 10,000 jobs a couple weeks after that. Yet another political blunder of the state of California. Now with Chipotle, half the social media articles seem to be about people complaining that the portion size has gotten just smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, granted, anecdotally speaking, the last time I went to Chipotle was probably 2000, what was it? Well, like, no. 2015, I think was the last time I went there. And at the time, they're comically large. I mean, they gave you all the food you could possibly want at a pretty affordable price. But I have friends who still shop at Chipotle, or Chipotle, or whatever you want to pronounce it. And the number one feedback they always tell me is topping these portions are getting ridiculous. They're just shaving away more and more and more and upcharging you every chance they get. So I'm actually astonished. In spite of that, people still keep going back to buy more and more and more of it, in spite of record high inflation and economic and political uncertainty, and people having less, extra money to spend around. So I'm actually pretty impressed. Chipotle continues to increase their sales in spite of all of that, and I think they're going to increase the portion size to push back on some of the perception, oh, not perception, just the consumer pushback in that regard. So that might be one of the contributing factors that's going to eat away at their future margins. But let me know in the comments. When was the last time you actually went to Chipotle? I mean, do you think does it still taste the same as it did in the past? And do you think, at least in your experiences, has the portions also decreased? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have John Deere increasing their layoffs, unfortunately. Now, this comes to us thanks to Des Moines Register, or for the folks who aren't from Iowa or don't know what Iowa is, it's not pronounced Des Moines. That's what some people call it. But if you're from Iowa, you know it's Des Moines. Nevertheless, this is by Diana Eller, who's a worker over at the Des Moines Register. It's like, quote, John Deere cut 67 workers from his Johnson financial operation, which is not great news for the company, to say the least. Hopefully they're able to find some gainful employment at a competitor or somewhere else. But I say, quote, Deere & Co. cuts this week in Iowa climbed to 170 workers in Johnsonville, Dubuque, and Waterloo after the Illinois manufacturer of the iconic tractors and combines announced it's trimming the salaried workforce. The Des Moines agricultural giant notified Iowa Workforce Department Thursday it's cutting 67 employees at John Deere Financial in Johnson. On Wednesday, Deere told the state it's cutting 34 employees in Dubuque and 69 in Waterloo. The cuts were effective Wednesday. Deere, which hasn't disclosed how many workers would be shed this week, blamed the agricultural downturn for the cuts, pointing to the projections that larger farm equipment sales this year are expected to fall, 20 to 25% below a year prior. That's astronomical. That's terribly bad. Imagine a quarter of your sales just evaporating, which, I mean, many industries are facing that this year. This is one of the worst years for most businesses. I mean, again, unprecedented levels of economic and political uncertainty, record high inflation. There's a lot of businesses that are either cutting staff, or just cutting staff, cutting spending, or just doing basically nothing, just trying to remain the status quo, just to try to stay afloat. John Deere said, quote, as the largest global manufacturer of agricultural equipment, they say, like many other industries, faces increased economic challenges, rising operation and manufacturing cost, and reduced consumer demand. They say that the economic challenges, quote, have unfortunately forced us to make tough decisions, including layoffs at John Deere production facilities and reductions in our global salaried workforce. Prior to this week's cut, Deere had slashed about 1,830 production workers in Anki, Dubuque, Audubon, Urbandale, Waterloo, and Quad Cities, Davenport, as well as East Moline, Illinois plant, as well as the Urbandale Research Center, which they also say that Deere says it employs about 22,600 salaried and production workers in Iowa and the Quad Cities at the start of the year. Deere says providing up to 12 months of severance pay to the laid off workers, which, geez, that is pretty good. I know a lot of friends have been laid off throughout the years. At 12 months severance, and again, it's never good to lose your job. That is a nice silver lining for the folks to hopefully help them use that money to float or stay afloat while they're looking for their next role. They also said they are also prorating pay based on their short-term and long-term cash incentives that are based on the company's performance, payment for unused vacation or paid time off, ongoing access to health and wellness beings, and a year of professional job placement services, which is pretty nice as well. You can see a little close-up of them working on them. They say that, quote, while the decision to reduce roles across the company was a challenging one, the company is confident that these adjustments, coupled with our ongoing efforts to reduce costs and align production and inventory levels, will position John Deere strongly for the future, unquote. Now, they say, quote, at the same time, as a salary workforce layoff, Deere emphasizes commitment to U.S. manufacturing. They invested $2 billion in its American factories since 2019, including a new sprayer line in its Anki operation, a combine assembly line in Harvester Works plant in East Moline, and a new tractor line in Waterloo. The company says, quote, economic impact in our U.S. hometown communities and all of those we have a president is valued at $27 billion. Now, it also doesn't help them in terms of, in terms of the actual optics of the situation, because a couple weeks ago they moved about 600, 700 jobs from the U.S. to Mexico, which again is partially because of the politics of the U.S. versus the politics of Mexico, where the U.S. has a lot of regulation, a lot of overhead costs, a lot of lawsuits, and a myriad of reasons why they're pushing a lot of businesses to manufacture outside of the United States. Now it's glad things are bad when they're cutting from the finance division of the company. Historically speaking, that's where they not like it's printing money, but it's almost as close as you can get to do that without being the Federal Reserve. And it's one of those things where that's usually the last part they cut, because that's pure. The profit margin on financing is traditionally extremely high. There's just so little demand this year for these massive, and again, these pieces of equipment. We're not talking about when you go to the Home Depot, or if you're with your spouse and you go to like Lowe's. You're not talking about like those little riding mowers that are, those are what, $800 to $900 maybe. And these things are hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just a little, 25% decrease in demand for that. That's a huge, adds up astronomically in the aggregate. So hopefully, and again, there are some major competitors. You also have Case New Holland. I know Kabuto is another big competitor. Kinsey or Kesey Manufacturing in Iowa as well. So hopefully these workers are able to find gainful employment at one of the competitors. But it's also not good because, again, it sounds also like it's an industry issue because, again, there's a decreased demand for just overall agricultural products. And again, that's one of the downsides of having a slow economy and a tough economy is it's the ripple effect. And a lot of these companies are making cuts, and hopefully there are some new roles at other companies. And again, they are saying how they have some additional resources for them to help them get that new role. So it is some sad business news today, but hopefully they're able to find a new position soon. Now, going over to the Culture Proud podcast, you have Harley Davidson. Well, their woke policies escaped, and now the world is irate. Will there be a boycott? Now, raise a question: what's the background of Harley Davidson? What used to be badass, motorcycle? Trying to think of the Harley Iron 883 was the last one I kind of wanted. Now that being said, they also manufacture a luxury product that no one on the planet absolutely no one needs. It's something that is the first thing that's cut from people's budget when there's a bad economy. Which, anecdotally speaking, I had 3 friends who had motorcycles. 2 of them sold their motorcycles in the past 6 months, and the biggest reason they did it was the economy and just the cost of the insurance, and they weren't using it enough. It was a pure luxury, and they both sold them. Now, looking at the company, they've been struggling for quite some time. One of the biggest issues, biggest issue with Harley is, it's a nice way of putting this, most of the people who traditionally purchase the product, they're passing away. I believe some people call them the boomers. So interesting enough, I've never seen a boomer with like a boom box playing some old music. I don't know why they're called that, but nevertheless, their stock has been doing terribly, and their sales. They even tried an EV startup, and they spun that off. That didn't work out so well. Now they're going to try that again. Now, let me actually show you the stock. Before we dive into the controversy, let's look at the background of the company. The past 5 years, and again, S&P 500, again, not financial advice, but on average, the history has shown maybe a 10% return. Now, Max, you look at the stock, it's even worse. It's down 50% since I believe they went bankrupt. What was it, 07? They had another IPO, 2007, around $72.01 per share. Granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, the price of stock will change. That's what the stock market does. At the time of this recording, is $36.39 per share. Now, past 5 years, that's terrible. The stock has gone up 0.96%. And look at how much it fluctuates. Again, there's a lot of things, a lot of parallels to the economy. Because again, when times get tough, no one is buying a motorcycle. Well, I should clarify, no one that is financially prudent, and the average person is they're not doing it. If you're still doing very well in a tough economy, you maybe have a different industry, you have a sales job with a unique product, and you're really good at your job, maybe. But on average, that's the first thing people just cut from the budget. The past 5 years, they basically have done nothing. That's why a lot of people, again, not financial advice, that's why a lot of people recommend buying into the S&P 500, not individual stocks. Again, not financial advice, that's just what I hear, that's what some people I know do. Because again, that's a good example. The industry, like overall, stock market historically does pretty good, but 0.96% growth in 5 years, that's god-awful. Now, the past 1 year, it's actually down 9.2%. Year to date, down negative 6.67%. Past month, about nothing. It's negative 0.44%. Week, down 3.63% last week. That's not great. Now, interesting. I wonder who owns the company. Well, let's dive into that really quick. Look at their largest shareholders, and no surprise. The top 3 shareholders by number of percentage of the shares. Number 1 is the Vanguard Group, coming in at 9.5%, equating to 12,413,883 shares, valued at almost $437 million. Jeez Louise. Second place is H Partnership Capital LLC, which, I mean, I'm not a marketing genius, but that name just sounds boring as all hell. But nevertheless, that's their name. They have 8.5% of the company, equates to about 11.8 million shares, valued at $415 million. Then, of course, you have the OG that everyone knows about called BlackRock, which, incidentally enough, they better own. I would hope that they own some geological companies. There has to be some there. I mean, I know it's just as a pun, they should have at least 1% of those companies. But nevertheless, BlackRock owns 7.9%, coming in at 10,608,068 shares, valued at $356 million. A lot of people are wondering, why is this company having all these, what we would call woke policies? Is it because they believe in it? Is it because the customers want it? Oh, absolutely not. Statistically speaking, if you look at who buys a Harley Davidson, I mean, on average, hell no. However, why is the business doing it? Well, the shareholders all are investing companies that do it. And again, if one of these were to sell all their stock, the price would drop like a rock, or it would drop like a Harley Davidson falling over. It would not be good. The investors would be irate. It might even inspire more people to sell. It would be utter chaos. Now, in terms of who was able to find out about all these policies, well, we have one of the most effective investigative journalists, Robbie Starbuck. He was the same one who was able to uncover the stories around not just John Deere with all of their woke policies, but also Tractor Supply. And in both times he uncovered them, there was enough of a boycott for the companies to back off of those initiatives, at least publicly. Time shall tell to see if they truly back off of them. Let's go ahead and we'll pull up Robbie Starbuck really quick. And it's a little bit of a long video, I think. Pulled up to the very top. Again, he is hashtag ROBBYSTARBUCK. See, I thought I was already following him. Let me fix that. So, let's see. Oh, shoot. His voice is infinitely better than mine, so we'll play a little bit of him first. Maybe we'll play the first half. It's about 10 minutes long. Well, let's get the volume working here.
Y'all, this may be the most shocking expose that I've done simply because the brand is so out of alignment with their customers. This is Harley Davidson. It's time for them to be exposed. In Harley's words, they are all in on diversity and inclusion. Now, let's take a look at what that means. I wonder how many Harley riders are aware that Harley Davidson is a platinum founding member of the LGBT Chamber of Commerce in Wisconsin.
It's also the fanciest of all the metals on the periodic table. I mean, platinum is what they make records and fancy jewelry out of.
Is the same chamber that says on behalf of the businesses that are a part of the Wisconsin LGBT Chamber, they opposed banning transgender sex changes for children. Harley Davidson even hosted an LGBTQ plus boot camp at their corporate offices, and look at that sweet cake they got them. Isn't that just so inclusive?
That is a Progress Pride trans flag.
Here's a closer look at that cake for all you Harley riders out there. So who's Harley?
I'm actually surprised they didn't put their logo on there.
Harley Davidson's CEO. Well, it's another CEO that was placed right around COVID.
Jochen Zeitz is an unusual choice to lead Harley Davidson. He's German. He's an outspoken climate activist.
The businessman who uses his millions to change opinions on climate change. Are you getting Harley Davidson vibes yet?
In 2030, that we should be completing that total transformation of the company.
If his goal is the total transformation of Harley Davidson, well, he's well on his way. They sponsored this LGBTQ plus Pride event where they had a rage room. And I am not joking, something called a rage room to, quote, let off steam. It was located right next to the story time area for children to interact with drag queens and the play catch with a dad for all those who had daddy issues. In Harley's so-called sustainability report, they also say that their 1,800 global employees completed a virtual training to learn what an ally is to the LGBTQ plus community, and that employees also participated in an engaging and interactive learning session that allowed them to explore social identities, both seen and unseen. We all know what that means. And then again, in honor of National Coming Out Day, employees attended a virtual session featuring Sandy Eichel. Let's see who Sandy is.
Sandy Eichel is not your typical financial services speaker. Once a Lutheran pastor's wife, a professional opera singer, and a consummate perfectionist, Sandy had the picture-perfect life. But inside, she was miserable. So she chose a new last name, a new career, and a whole new life and mindset, which...
I used to say suit up, but good God, what is that? Like a plaid looking suit? Interestingly enough, the shirt under it does actually look the same shade as mine, so I don't have too much ground to stand on, perhaps.
Elevated her to the top of her profession.
We have to change our culture, and we need to do it quickly.
In their
I might have to throw the shirt away.
sustainability report, their CEO also brags about their 90 out of 100 HRC CEI score. This score is one I've explained many times before, but essentially is the Trojan horse that pushes all these left-wing values into corporations. And this score begs the question, is Harley Davidson's health plan covering the transition of children? That's one of the metrics that the HRC CEI score judges. And if you're a Harley Davidson dealer, guess what? They've got a plan for you heading into 2032. They want to increase the diversity across the global dealer network at both the staffing and owner-operator levels. That's a fancy corporate speak way of saying less white people. I think it's important to note at this point that the CEO of Harley Davidson is making almost $12 million a year while making these changes. In Harley Davidson's sustainability report, they also brag that their legal department participated in the American Bar Association's 21-day challenge. Through 21 days of short readings and videos, the challenge encouraged participants to step out of their comfort zones to acquire greater racial literacy and inspire engagement in the fight against racial inequality. So let's take a look at what's in that challenge. It promotes the widely debunked and racist 1619 Project. It promotes a radical book called Black Panthers and White Lies. It promotes the idea that climate change is harming expectant black mothers, and they promote Marxist Ibram Kendi, who says you can't be an anti-racist unless you're anti-capitalist. This training also supports illegal immigration, and it supports the Marxist Black Lives Matter
A moment of silence for all the employees that have to sit through this training. That's gotta be rough.
organization. That's not all though. This training also makes the case for reparations. Harley Davidson sponsored York County Pride. Here's some photos. Totally normal stuff. I'm not even sure what's going on here. Celebrating Pride.
Is that Professor X? Oh, I'm only moderately kidding. They looks like she's quite large, so the wheelchair is reinforced with probably titanium or platinum. And it looks like the wheels of the wheelchair, electronic wheelchair, is fancy. And they have little X's like drawn on, like Professor X. And the person has very large, and they have green hair, which green looks good on a car. At least I think so. Very interesting that it's there.
Going on here. Celebrating Pride Month is not enough for Harley Davidson, though. Under their new CEO, they also made March and February months of inclusion. Don't worry, though, because they never miss Pride Month. They also brag in their sustainability report.
Oh, let me pull up that logo really quick. Frontier Harley Davidson.
Pride Month. They also brag in their sustainability report that they support the HRC's call for the Equality Act to be passed. So what is the Equality Act? The Equality Act is a lot like naming a bill, vote yes if you want to save Puppies Act, and then inside the bill, it actually mandates that you kill puppies.
So every bill passed by a politician basically does the opposite, I'm guessing.
The Equality Act in reality has nothing to do with equality. It's about stripping women of their spaces and allowing men into bathrooms and locker rooms. So you can expect to see more bathroom assaults like this. For all you Harley riders out there, I want to be explicitly clear. Harley Davidson supporting the Equality Act being passed means that they support boys competing against your daughters in sports, stripping them of their championships, their opportunities, and their scholarships. It also means that they support men following your daughter into the bathroom, and your daughter is supposed to shut up and be okay with it. But if Harley Davidson did not support the Equality Act and men following little girls in the bathroom, they probably wouldn't win cool awards like this from the LGBT Chamber of Commerce in Wisconsin. So, I mean, really, what matters more here?
I mean, the award looks like it's made out of glass. It's got some etching on it. And it is a fancy award. You could probably put that in the corporate headquarters main lobby.
Harley also apparently did a PFLAG training, that is an organization that supports child sex changes. And here's a quote here, Harley Davidson becoming a trans ally and going beyond the binary. Again, are you feeling Harley vibes yet? If you've been watching my series exposing woke companies, then you're familiar with United Way, who was a partner with John Deere doing a 21-day equity challenge. That challenge is one of the most insane far-left pieces of propaganda I have ever seen. And again, United Way pops its head up here with a $320,000 donation from Harley Davidson. So I said, that's weird. How much money has Harley given them? Turns out it is millions. Here's United Way Milwaukee bragging about one of those $1 million donations. So my question—
$1 million when your company is struggling? Your stock hasn't grown more than a single percentage point in 5 years? I mean, again, this will get some sales of a new category of clients, maybe 18 people in San Francisco, but it's one of those instances where that money could have been put in a myriad of other ways. Traditional marketing, a new product. Right, I know we'll pay for a new research development of a whole new cycle. We can invest in that in an infinite amount of different ways I think would be more effective to actually build the company up.
Question is, why is Harley Davidson supporting with millions of dollars an organization that is pushing far left Marxist propaganda on the public? Are Harley riders really cool with supporting an organization like this? Speaking of things coming back around, remember this Bud Light fiasco? And remember how John Deere was also on a Budweiser beer? You seriously cannot make this stuff up. But anyway.
And he was, if you're just listening audio on something like Spotify or podcast, again, do me a favor and subscribe on that platform as well. He's pointing to a Budweiser can, which had the Harley Davidson logo slapped right on it. Which, I mean, in terms of licensing, that's the easiest money they can make. I mean, traditionally, Budweiser's just going to cut them a check and let them put the logo on there. Because, I mean, people will buy it just because it has that iconic logo on it. That was also, like, wasn't it just months after the Dylan Mulvaney fiasco where Bud Light thought it was a good idea to spend $185,000 to hire Dylan Mulvaney as a brand ambassador? And they subsequently lost $1.4 billion, perhaps being the biggest business blunder of the century in terms of a negative ROI for a marketing campaign.
Cannot make this stuff up. But anyways, back to United Way. If you don't remember them from my John Deere expose, here's a reminder of what their 21-day equity challenge was like. It was recommended to me that I read Ibram Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist. It says, read Awake to Woke to Work, Building a Race Equity Culture, essentially a book about bringing wokeness to work. Another challenge option I received was to listen to the podcast episode, Bias Isn't Just a Police Problem.
I mean, of all the books they could be reading right now, when they could use a lot of sales, I mean, what about a sales or marketing book? I think those would probably be a bigger ROI for the company.
It's a preschool problem. No, I'm not joking. And just when we thought we were done with Ibram Kendi, they're discussing his book, Anti-Racist Baby. Yes, that is the children's book about anti-racism. When I was recommended a book about black transgender people, the first thing that popped in my mind, by the way, tractors. This 21-day equity challenge from United Way also recommended that I watch the 2018 video Deconstructing White Privilege by Robin DiAngelo. Again, another far left figure. So in case you're doubting that Harley Davidson also participated in training with United Way after giving them millions of dollars, well, it's right here. They had more than 65 Milwaukee area employees attend a panel discussion to learn more about the long-standing discrimination issues in the community and how COVID-19 has highlighted the inequalities in our society. Harley Davidson also brags in their sustainability reports that they had employees go for leadership training and diversity training at United Way, and that 15 employees participated in conversations on race with the YMCA, along with other employees who had to go to the White Men is Full Diversity Partners training. That is a white male-only training course. That's not enough, though. They also had 50 employees take part in a training with the Human Library Organization. Let's take a look at the Human Library Organization.
I mean, it's called a Human Library Organization. It has to be a great institution telling people how to read brilliant works of art like George Orwell's 1984, or perhaps George Orwell's Animal Farm, maybe the Federalist Papers, learning about the Founding Fathers. I mean, as a library organization, surely they are, standing up for those brilliant works of art. Yeah, probably not. We'll get back to reality.
No surprises here, but I really wanted to make sure all you...
Wait, did that just say don't judge a book by its cover? Don't judge a book by its cover. And it's an extremely large, maybe, woman. The book is called Book of the Month, Transgender. I'm not going to judge you. Now, ironically, if that is a picture of the book and not just a poster board, it says don't judge a book by a cover, but that book does in fact have a cover.
Prizes here, but I really wanted to make sure all you riders are aware that the Harley-supported Pride Ride in Wisconsin is a safe space for you. Again, no, I am not joking. Harley's activism does not stop there. They also were named a top business partner for LGBTQ+ inclusion by the Pennsylvania Youth Congress, who they support. And the Pennsylvania Youth Congress is also responsible for getting gender-neutral IDs in Pittsburgh.
Harley Davidson is an American icon. Its CEO, Jochen Seitz, is taking it down a new road.
Well, they've got that right. Now meet Ryan. He's Harley Davidson's program and project management, and he says that he is so proud to work at a company where this is not a controversial post to make, especially in the current environment with anti-trans and anti-drag bills passing all over the country. This is on Transgender Day of Visibility. Now, let's be very clear what he's talking about. He's talking about laws that ban sex changes for kids and ban children from being able to attend sexual drag shows. Those are the laws he's opposing, and apparently, in his view, that is not controversial at Harley Davidson, that he supports kids being able to get sex changes and kids being able to go to drag shows. Ryan also seems to hold the view that a company going woke does not mean it will go broke, so I think this might be a good test case. Let's find out if Ryan's right. If you think that Harley Davidson has fallen totally out of alignment with its core customers that have made that company great and successful, then here's their customer service number to call. And here's Harley Davidson's media department contact information if you have any questions or a request for comment as to whether or not they're going to continue down this path of wokeness and DEI.
I'm sure that email is always overwhelmed by now. Was it media@harley-davidson.com? Yeah, or 414-343-4636. I mean, by now they have to have a pre-recorded thing, on and ready. They're not going to actually answer people.
Or if they're going to turn around before they destroy this once great American company. And finally, you may want to call or write their owners group, okay? The Harley owners group, they would want to hear from you about anything that you're upset about as a Harley rider. And this last part is to the CEO of Harley Davidson. I know you're watching this video, so let me tell you what your customers actually want, because it's pretty easy. Just get rid of the social issues and divisive causes. Make great motorcycles and provide great customer service. No more CEI scores, no more DEI departments, no more woke trainings, no more donations to woke causes, no more donations to pride parades that parade sexuality to children. Just make motorcycles, period. It was a great motorcycle company, and you are destroying it if you continue down this path. You have a chance to turn around now, and we're very forgiving out here. You want forgiveness, though? You need to turn around and stop all of this wokeness and get back to the core business that made Harley Davidson great.
I mean, it would be great if they could also invent a motorcycle that didn't leak oil. I've heard they have, at one point, had that. I haven't seen it in person yet, however. Now, listener pre-val got 2.4 million views and 44,000 likes. Now, again, that might make the customers happy and prospective customers happy. But again, what if one of those big three shareholders just liquidates all their stock? What if they sell it overnight? Depending on when they bought their stock, maybe they make a profit and they share, the shareholders and the owners that invested in those companies would be happy. But again, just imagine if one of those companies overnight just sold 400 million shares. That's a pretty big, what could, that wouldn't be good for the company. Stock, that price would crash. Be even more uncertainty for folks, maybe inspire more people to sell. So again, there's a reason why they're pushing this, and there's a reason why I'm skeptical. We'll see if they pull back. And again, when it comes to other companies, time will tell to see if they really did. And one of the first comments comes from Elon Musk saying, quote, Harley Davidson, getting 7.5 thousand. Robbie Starbuck responded saying they literally sent some male employees to a white male-only training on diversity, getting 3.8 thousand likes, which is one of the most ironic things, a meeting about diversity where they quite literally are not diverse. And they quite literally exclude people and invite people based on the race. Ridiculous. Tom World also says Harley Davidson used to represent freedom, now they're pushing woke agendas. How disappointing, unquote. Getting 814 likes. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, Harley Davidson went woke. Getting 936 likes. Let's see here. Dividend Pig says, wow, let's see how the local Harley Davidson dealers feel about the mothership going woke. Getting 867 likes. Which, that sucks for them, because again, they don't have a lot of control of what the parent company does. Again, I shouldn't say parent company, the legal entity that is Harley Davidson. All the dealerships, very similar to automotive manufacturing community, they're all independently owned. Many are owned by a mom and pop. Some of them are actually owned by businesses that own multiple franchise dealerships. And sometimes I'll listen to the folks on the ground, as I should, because they have more direct contact with the customer. But yeah, they don't get much of a say in terms of what the Harley Davidson does on a corporate level for all these commercials and activities. They probably should, because again, the customer is the most important thing, and the customer is mostly interacting with the dealerships. And yeah, that's gonna be rough for the dealerships. Hopefully they sell multiple products so they're not so negatively hurt if there is a boycott, which I suspect there will be. But also, it's such a bad year with political and economic uncertainty. People are pulling back their discretionary spending to as close to zero as they can. I'm not sure how many people really going to buy a motorcycle anyway this year. Going down more and more. This person bought a Harley Davidson truck. Really? Oh my gosh. That's how much of a diehard fan this person is. The Harley Davidson had a brief partnership with Ford where they made a special limited trim edition that had Harley Davidson logos slapped all over it. And people did buy it. That was from Dan Morrison saying, quote, in the last 5 years, I've purchased 2 new Harley Davidson motorcycles and a Harley Davidson F.250 truck. For those will be the last unless the CEO is replaced and these programs end. I may even sell the Harleys I have, unquote. Getting 313 likes. And there you can see the Bird F250. The wheels are probably as big as my car door, my little Honda Civic, give or take. Scrolling down more and more. Douglas Carr says, yeesh, that's more customer blind than Bud Light, getting 810 likes. Cecil Moore says, I was hoping you'd do this one. For the record, I love and have ridden their machines for about 3 decades and logged about 500,000 miles through 46 states. Wow, I got 347 likes. Webmeister says, talk about another brand not understanding their target market, getting 702 likes. That being said, they're struggling for sales. Maybe they're thinking, maybe we'll go after that market in San Francisco. I mean, again, you could argue that these types of policies are also marketing, and they also have some little marketing posts about these initiatives as well. But there are some people who buy purely based on politics, purely on social and cultural things. There are a couple of people who probably will buy Harley because they're doing this. However, if you like the whole number of prospective clients in the United States, as this has devolved into a political issue and is a very divisive one, I would say more often than not, you're alienating more people than you are gaining with these types of stances, policies, and initiatives. If there's any contrarian statements here. Redway Press simply says, rest in peace, Harley Davidson, gave 130 likes. Going down, Jim Hansen says, time to reclaim the great American brands from the woke mind virus, John Deere, and now Harley Davidson, getting 123 likes. So not a lot of contrarian statements here. A lot of people are saying how they have the high scores to the DEI stuff. And again, those high scores do drive some, brokerage companies and some investing companies to buy their stock just based on that alone. But, I mean, that's a huge thing, especially for those big companies like, Vanguard. You also have BlackRock, State Street. And there's a reoccurring theme when we talk about, who are the largest investors in these businesses. And, I mean, again, here's another one that says, looks like the fourth largest investor is FMR LLC at 8.09 million shares. So definitely an insult to their current customer base. And I don't really think it'll be a profitable idea for the company. Now, how bad will the boycott be in the next couple of days? Will they get roasted online with social media? Will they just let people, will they get to the point where people are actually pushing their bikes over and having Kid Rock shoot it with his MP or with the MP5? Again, those bikes are also a pretty penny. They're not cheap, so I kind of doubt you're going to see that type of bombastic or very abrasive boycott behavior. Unless you're Kid Rock and you have just copious amounts of money and you can do whatever you want, basically. I don't think the average person is going to do that. Now, when they sell it, it'll be interesting. But let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Van Gogh's flowers just stop oil while the vandals were found guilty. Now, what will their punishment actually be? That's the real question. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Lee Harris on X Twitter, when she says, quote, breaking, entitled Just Stop Oil extremists Phoebe and Anna have been found guilty after vandalizing Van Gogh's flowers. The judge has told them to prepare for imprisonment. Good. Now, spoiler alert, they look exactly how you'd think. So it's a little redundant when I say they have, short hair. One is pink, both girls. They're holding some pasta that they threw at the painting. And they have frumpy jeans that have no shape at all. Reminiscent of perhaps the dark ages of fashion, also known as the 80s. And yeah, it's one of those things where in any civil society, you'd have someone guarding these works of art. Now, granted, many of these works of art are also protected by bulletproof glass, or more accurately, bullet-resistant glass. But again, we have to see these same lowlifes trying to destroy pieces of history that quite literally can't be replicated. When once it's gone, it's gone. The original work of art is, is basically priceless. And a mere imprint of it, or, you just cannot compare to the real thing. And I think these mentally vacuous gals also have glued their hands to the wall, which, if I was the judge, or the police, I would say, all right, you chose to glue yourself to the wall. You want to stay here. We're going to give you exactly what you want. We're gonna let you stay there. That's a Porsche, was it Porsche Volkswagen Group, where they actually had some mentally vacuous people, again, the Just Stop Oil folks, glue their hands to like the factory floor and just left them there overnight. Because again, you're gluing yourself to the floor of the wall. You're getting what you want. You want to stay there. And again, I can only think these museums have rudimentary to no security, because this keeps happening time and time again. One time, someone even threw a hammer at it, which, how you allowed a hammer to get into a museum is ridiculous to say the least. And hopefully the judges start really cracking down on these morons. And again, in terms of protesting, I can't think of any person who actually wants to support the Just Stop Oil group. I mean, they recently the Stonehenge, they vandalized that. And they also spend copious amounts of time just sitting in the street begging for cars to run them over, causing traffic jams to people who actually have a job to get to work. Granted, this is their job. I'm sure someone is funding them. But you don't gain any cultural support when you have these types of protests, or more accurately, vandalism and terrorism. That's when you lose. I don't know anyone in my group of friends. And I try to keep diverse opinions of my friends and try to make sure I'm not in an echo chamber, as long as we share the same values. But in this case, Like, do you know anyone who supports these people? Who says, yeah, I think it's a good idea to protest by sitting in front of a car on the highway, which is also hilariously ironic because you actually thereby create more emissions because the cars are just sitting there burning more fossil fuels when at the end of the day they'll have to get to where they want to go. So if anything, they're actually making it worse because they're increasing more than what they would have already been consuming. But I partially digress. Let's go to the comments and see what do folks have to say. Now, one of the first comments comes from Ultimi and Cameron saying, quote, prepare for imprisonment. Why aren't they just sentenced now and taken down? Unquote, getting 479 likes. Brexit Duck says 5 years please, getting 720 likes. I'm a favorite. I appreciate funny, ironic, or interesting punishments. Maybe they're imprisoned and the whole time they actually have to cook soup. They have to work in the kitchen. Because, yeah, they threw, I guess, cans of soup. And not great soup, too. It's probably just really, I think it's even Boyardee, something like that. Granted, there's a time in my life where that's all I ate, and I'm still pretty frugal. But nevertheless, what if their whole time in prison they're just mixing soup? So instead of throwing it, they had to cook it. That'd be some good insult to injury, so I'd say, or something like that. Going down, you have Simon Lester saying, excellent. Perhaps a job in the kitchen preparing soup for the fellow inmates would be in order. Great minds take a like. 669. Let's make that 670. Oh, 71 likes. It's trending. Trudy Sevenrot says, finally some punishment, getting 248 likes. Bandit Red 1 says, now go after their funding source. I bet you won't do it, getting 399 likes. Dia Reilly says, very good, getting 110 likes. Nostalgic says, good job, getting 75 likes. Mr. Mojo says, Phoebe and Anna are the poster child of children for no future, getting 95 likes. People saying they should get life imprisonment. Charlie Brown dancing gif saying, hooray, best news ever, getting 25 likes. So, I mean, again, it makes no sense from a protesting. Oh, yeah, here's that guy. This quote, imagine if the glue would have just been so strong that the one right on the right would have had to have their been in that position for hours. Reminds you of the superhero Concrete Hand, got fined $1,500 but preferred jail. That was a guy who he glued himself to the ground, and I guess it was stuck so hard. Was it construction workers or police just dug, they chiseled out the ground so he had some pavement on his hand. Got 7 likes for that. So seems like these oil folks or anti-oil folks are losing more and more support, and they're finally starting to prosecute people who are damaging or attempting to damage these works of art in the museums. And I certainly hope the trend of punishing them continues, so that eventually they learn their lesson and send a message where you do not destroy works of art. You did not destroy pieces of history. Only most evil, mentally vacuous people in history are the ones who wanted to destroy history. So hopefully that happens. Incidentally enough, let me know in the comments if you're, especially an international viewer or someone who has seen these works of art. Have you ever seen this happen in real life, or have you seen it locally? And what do you think the punishment should be? Let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Kamala Harris launching a presidential campaign on a drag race, but not the one with fun, cool cars that go very fast. Now, this was thanks to I didn't know about this, is a ex-Twitter handle or profile by the name of RuPaul Drag Race. Not the politician. And it says, you better vote. Yelly emoji. And it says, Vice President Kamala Harris dropped by the workroom. I'm not sure if they're just mentally vacuous or that's an intentional misspelling. It says workroom, W-E-R-K, which it's work, W-O-R-K. Granted, I do wish there was a spell check for X-Twitter, so I've had my share of spelling mistakes. Maybe it's a mistake. Or maybe it's part of the culture. And it's a little painful, just a little warning. It's only about 59 seconds long, and the music is so bad. Granted, with the YouTube policies, they'll probably strip out the music. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens, so it might just be awkward silence with them talking. But we'll go ahead and we'll play that really quick here.
We interrupt this program to bring you a message from an extra special drag race viewing party.
Hi, everyone. It's Kamala Harris.
Look at that gold chain, and she has that golden American flag lapel pin. That's fancy. You don't see that a lot in politics. Although it is reminiscent of, Hillary Clinton going up to having a little sit-down interview with someone. She goes, oh yeah, I have hot sauce in my purse, which there's a 0% chance that she had that there organically. That was totally planted just for that one interview.
Each day, we are seeing our rights and freedoms under attack, including the right of everyone to be who they are, love who they love, openly.
What? That guy's the brightest teeth I've ever seen, but it's a bald gentleman with a very large mustache and very, very white teeth. And I'm not sure who's in charge of the fashion wardrobe. He forgot to button up his shirt, so half his shirt is unbuttoned. Rudimentary suit. Looks like some type of bling in the middle.
And with pride. So as we fight back against these attacks, let's all remember
Oh, she's seeing fight. Will she be arrested or an insurrection? No, of course not.
No one is alone. We are all in this together, and your vote is your power. So please.
Is this an SNL skit?
Please make sure your voice is heard this November and register to vote at vote.gov.
This is so bad.
Can I get an amen?
Ironic, because I don't think they've ever gone to a church.
Amen.
Now on with the show.
And remember, you better vote.
Is it a sketch? It says you better, what is it? You better vote.gov? Oh no, you better vote, and the website is vote.gov. Okay. I guess, is that a joke that they held the sign upside down? I mean, that's a unique pitch. Also, where do you get a pink couch? I mean, yeah, they're sitting on a pink couch. Good luck keeping that clean. An interesting, that's what did the ESPN guy say? It's a bold move there, Cotton. But that being said, I'm pretty sure the demographic was already going to vote for Kamala. Maybe 18 people additionally will vote for her now? Maybe? Yeah. Interesting, an interesting campaign idea. Moderately viral, got 557,000 views. Interesting enough, only 18,000 likes. Which, not to brag, but myself, I got 3 likes on a YouTube video earlier this week. Even more on that green platform you dare not say unless your videos on the YouTube get shadow banned. Yet another reason to subscribe to the Good Old Show on Spotify as well as the Apple Podcast. Because I will always be uploading there. Whereas sometimes the videos on the YouTube just magically disappear. Not my choice. Now, some of the top comments comes from, and again, maybe it'll be a 50-50 split. Because again, this is the profile page for the Rand Paul, no, the Rude Paul drag race. Not a single car in sight, too. I'm a little disappointed there. Like, they could at least lean into the pun, have like a toy car in the background or something. Maybe I just have too high expectations. One of the first comments comes from Vladiadia, who says, "Oh my, this is all caps. All caps. It says, "Oh, my president is iconic." Green heart emoji face, coconut, American flag, and fire emoji. Interesting enough, they have American flag. That got 133 likes. Someone by the name of Nas simply says hello. Okay, got 267 likes. Noah says, "Oh, they are not kidding." Getting 354 likes. Which, these people, do they always use, what do we call it, cap lock? AR Tour says, "Look over there, Palestinian flag." Got 140 likes. Gracie Robertson says, "I love it." Blue Heart getting 19 likes. Again, these are all verified accounts. Wait a minute. What is this? Who's this? Leah Brack says, "This is not real." Getting 15 likes. Fernando says, "Oh, she's working. I mean, certainly not. She's sitting on a couch. I mean, technically she's on the clock, I'm sure, in terms of if she was an hourly worker. She's doing a campaign video. I mean, in terms of manual labor, that's not, I mean, not really. I mean, it's a cushiony couch. I don't think she's working too hard. Got 80 likes for that. DYL? Why are all these called fan accounts in the description? That's weird. It says, "You have my vote," getting 21 likes. Eptone Tiss says, let's see, "Damn, Republicans just lost the drag queen vote," getting 26 likes. Which, yeah, I'm not sure many of them were going to vote for Republican to begin with. Franklin says, "Let's go," getting 8 likes. Lex says, "Degenerates," getting 12 likes. Big Effin' Whale Trump, that's an interesting name for an account, says, "My wife loves this show. Just told my wife that RuPaul is the next celebrity to sell us out to Kamala Harris and Democrats. My wife says she and her girlfriends will now boycott the show. I can't help but wonder how many women will react the same." 18, maybe? That did get 5 likes, though. Andy Oyas says, "Amen." And it's a picture of the gal looking very confused, getting 8 likes. Hudker says, "These people are evil," getting 2 likes. Isaac says, "Period," getting 1 like. Hay says, "No, sir, audience," getting 3 likes. If anything, I think it's more 60-70% approval. What the heck is this? Lana Del Fay says, "We need more Mother Magemi." We need Mother Medjemi as her vice president. This person is dressed like a hot topic, but they went there shopping when they're inebriated. It says, protect queer art, holding a picture for poster board. Probably not Hobby Lobby. It's not that good of a poster board. That did get 9 likes, though. So an interesting approach by Kamala Harris. And I can't but think, what was the propensity or the odds of the people who tuned into that show, they were all really going to go to vote for her? I mean, how much is this really going to, will this really push anything in the polls? I mean, I can't even think it would do more than even a single percentage point. But an interesting approach. Do you think, politically speaking, it will pay off for her? Do you think it was a good move on the political chessboard? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Gavin Newsom ordering the removal of homeless encampments in California. Perhaps China is visiting yet again. Now, this is a friendly reminder. They spent like over, this actually, I don't know where 40 or 20 to 40 billion dollars just evaporated that they spent to fix the homelessness problem, which they didn't. Fascinatingly enough, they did clean up the city of San Francisco when Salesforce had their conference, because they're the largest software company, I think, that's left in that city. And then when Xi Jinping, when China visited. So they have the capacity, they have the capability to clean up only during those 2 times lately. And again, they've incentivized this problem by passing myriad of laws that encourage it, as well as driving away people and businesses with their lawlessness. Now, for some reason, Gavin Newsom's now wanting to fix this problem, which, how long has he been in charge? I don't know. Pretty much forever? Now, he actually responds to this article by the Associated Press saying, quote, breaking, California Governor Gavin Newsom has issued an executive order for the removal of homeless encampments in the state, which got 7.8 million views and 6.6 thousand likes. Gavin Newsom actually responded with his tweet. He says, no more excuses. We've provided the time. We've provided the funds. Now it's time for locals to do their job. Which, because the district attorneys and the people who live there, what they vote for, what they want, Campbell think probably won't happen. Now, this did get 2.5 million views as well as 12,000 likes. One of the first responses coming from Sir Eagle saying, quote, you've had more than enough time to do all that, just never cared till now because it's election season. That got 4.2 thousand likes. AKA says, I didn't know this, I should maybe say allegedly. He says, your wife had sex with Harvey Weinstein, getting 3.4 thousand likes. Dana M says, he's been campaigning on this for 2 decades, left a disastrous trail behind him, and then points down from the top, great leadership, your excellency, getting 803 likes. Alex Phillips says, running for president, question mark, getting 547 likes. Maybe. Danielle says, just because it's election season, getting 561 likes. Mr. Reality says, is Xi Jinping coming back? The dictator of China, getting 735 likes. The man says, weak leaders create hard times. Yeah, getting 451 likes. Protobia, well, I was going to say, I think he says it accurately. He says, politics 101. 1, create the problem. 2, offer a solution to said problem. 3, spend taxpayer money on the solution. 4, take credit for fixing said problem. 5, rinse and repeat. Yeah, sounds about right. Getting 484 likes. Lars Manspeed says, flip-flopper hypocrite Gavin Newsom, once again trying to use authoritarian means to solve a problem. Government does not solve problems, they just make things worse. Getting 337 likes. Is any contrary statement. Save California says it's election season, getting 326 likes. Oh, here we go. Jim Stanley posted, with Gavin Newsom's track record of homelessness, this will age poorly. It's a Bloomberg article. It says, quote, California spent $28 billion on homelessness and it can't measure the impact. Probably the pocketbooks are impacted. This report follows close vote on $6 billion bond backed by Newsom. I got 647 likes. Imagine spending $24 billion and not being able to show anything for it. Actually, it's not hard to imagine. It's what our government seems to be doing every single day. Left and right, for that matter. One more, a little bit more than the other. Valeria Bryden, interesting name, says, yeah, and she actually has a Ukrainian flag and describes herself, pronouns as we, us, saying, yeah, that's what the locals' fault. Getting 628 likes, so he's getting roasted from many sides of the political and ideological aisle. Fred says, China's coming to visit, question mark, getting 171 likes. Mindy M.F. Robinson says, the balls it takes for this pathetic tyrant to blame everyone else for California's problems, except the guy who's in charge they tried to recall over it. Speaking of, anyone else remember watching his recall numbers magically delete themselves on live TV while they blamed a glitch, getting 634 likes. Yeah, so not great feedback for Mr. Gavin Newsom over there. And yeah, will they ever actually fix the problem over there? I still have a running bet with my friends. I tell them, I'll give you $100 if you name one business that's moved to California in the past, 10 years. Every year, they seemingly move out of California to places like Texas, or some people might pronounce it properly with the Texas hat, Texas. Should have picked up my hat off the wall. Nevertheless, and places like Texas, as well as Florida, really great places to do business, and much more business-friendly policies from the government. A lot of people reposting that article about, $24 billion spent, not to show for it. Gavin Newsom standing in front of burning buildings with AI generated. Oh, here's a nice little video of it says 70,000 homeless in Los Angeles. And you can see how all the sidewalks are just tents and slums. Yep. And again, you get what you vote for. There's a reason those tents exist there. Because they passed, I forget the specific bill number, because granted all these bills are uninspiring names. But it's one of the instances where they basically challenged it in court. The court said, oh, okay, we're going to look at this law. It's one of those issues where, we're just going to allow this to happen. We're going to say it's against, you can't have the police move this. That's me, cruel and unusual. Can't do that. Yeah, that actually happened. There's a volume here. Oh, terrible music. I'm going to skip that. So will California actually fix its homelessness problem? And again, why is he saying this now? This issue has existed for decades in California, becoming dark humor. It's almost comical at this point. And sad because it's just creating more and more of this terrible experience for the folks being there. Is it because he's getting ready to push Kamala aside and run for president? Maybe he'll be vice president for her campaign? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, the House voted yes to condemn Kamala Harris' handling of the southern border, which interestingly enough, the mainstream media is saying, oh yeah, she was not in charge of that. No. She's never the border czar. Oh, thankfully for platforms like X, we know that. In fact, oh yeah, here's great numerous articles where you have juxtaposition of the old articles from 2020, 2021, and you have videos of Biden saying, oh yeah, I'm going to put you in charge. Kamala, I'm going to put you in charge of the border. You're going to fix it, it'll be good. Come on, man. It, in fact, was not good. She did not fix anything. Quite the antithesis. She made it infinitely worse. And in fact, probably it was by design. Now, this brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok on X Twitter. They say, quote, wow, the House just voted to condemn border czar Kamala Harris' handling of the southern border. 6 Democrats voted with Republicans. And then there's a nice infographic. It says, again, this is condemn Biden administration border policy and Kamala Harris on agreeing to the resolution as amended. In terms of the yeas, you have 213 Republicans saying yay, 6 Democrats saying yay, for a total of 219. And then the nays coming in at 196 Democrats total. For once, Republicans actually voted all together. But they also have the no votes because they're lazy or sick, one of the two. Or they just don't want to abdicate from their job. So, yeah, one of the rare times the Republicans actually united and did something. Though, I should not get ahead of myself because it didn't really do anything. All this is just a fancy way of saying we don't like this. We don't agree with this. We don't like this. I mean, it's not. There's no fiscal penalty. I mean, there's no jail. I mean, there's really no negative consequences. It's just PR, which again they do on the left and the right. But they just go pretty viral. Got 1 million views and 61,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Paul Zupa saying, quote, Congress has spoken. Border czar Kamala Harris caused the border crisis. She needs to drop out immediately and resign, getting 2.2 thousand likes. I don't know what the New York, or rather the Las Vegas odds are for that to happen. I would think probably very, very low. They also have Make America Sane Again, in which they tweet, so what does this actually accomplish? Serious question if someone can answer it. Getting 627 likes, which, yeah, nothing. Posturing. They get maybe some campaign commercials out of it. Golden Six says this is huge. They won't be able to pretend she never was now. Getting 1,000 likes. You have Kevin Thomas saying this is how real change happens. Thank God for those individuals with morals. Getting 652 likes. See here. Craig Chamberlain says, quote, Kamala Harris is probably going to come out with, quote, strong against the border now that she's experiencing criticism on how poorly it was handled from the Biden-Harris presidency. We can't let the memory hole of how poor of a job they did the past 3.5 years. Got 363 likes. Julia says Dems joining the Republicans wasn't on my bingo card. Getting 632 likes. And again, that being said, some of them are in contiguous states. There are many purple states in the U.S., where they could go left or right, they could go either way. So on average, those folks are usually more moderate, or if the state is slightly right-leaning, then they will deviate from the Democratic Party. See it every once in a while. Going down more and more. See, there's any contrarian statements here. Moderate to severe says, what does condemnation get you? Getting 75 likes. Oscar Herrera says, I'm not surprised 6 Democrats voted. This is an issue that affects all Americans, getting 102 likes. So Truth Warrior says, now let's make the information viral, getting 44 likes. Paratrooper Brady says, this won't do anything, getting 41 likes. Here. Namo again says, Kamala's first ad in 2044 election. Oh, what's this?
Your own body.
Pride flags, hardly any white men, Trump mugshot featured. Abortion. I'm starting to feel good about our odds. Don't be a fool. Never underestimate your opponent, whether it be in politics, business, or sports balls. Never underestimate your opponent. Because again, she has a lot of money that's being, she apparently raised $81 million in the first 24 hours. And again, every tech company is going to be supportive of her campaign. We've seen it happen once before. It shan't be the last. There's a lot of things on her side. There are many people who will vote for her just because she is a woman. Ironically, a lot of those women that will vote for her because she's a woman cannot actually tell you what a woman is by definition, but nevertheless, they will vote for her just because of that. And yeah, in terms of it is fascinating, the Trump mugshot being featured. But fascinatingly enough, both sides of the political aisle use the same exact picture to raise copious amounts of campaign funds. It is kind of interesting to see, the same thing, but totally different perspectives, and both raising records amount of capital. Going down more and more, Florida 1 says this will not make a difference. Who do we thank for this brilliance? Getting 25 likes. Which, yeah, I don't think, maybe a commercial or two. I'm not sure how much attention it will really get. A lot of people doing the videos of Kamala saying how everyone needs to end up in the same place, which is communism. So, yeah, it was an interesting, it was an interesting move. It got into the news cycle for got some people talking about it. I think in terms of political impact, I think a better move on the chessboard was recirculation of all the videos of her talking about how she wants everyone to end up at the same place, as well as the videos of her where they actually have evidence showing that she was in fact in charge of the border, because one of the biggest narratives that we've heard lately is that, oh no, that never happened. Don't believe your lying eyes. That she was never in charge of the border. What are you talking about? That was some other guy. Yeah, about that. Thankfully, we do have video evidence as well as, original screenshots, as well as the Internet Archive that prove, no, she in fact was in charge of the border. That's one of the very, very few things Biden said he assigned her in terms of, here's a job to do something. So the very, very, very few things she was responsible for, he seemingly failed by every metric. So I think this will be one of the biggest issues when it comes to this presidential election. It's obviously going to be the border, it's going to be immigration. Now, in terms of this House resolution or this House condemnation, a little posturing. Maybe they'll get a couple campaign ads. I don't think it'll be the biggest impactful thing to happen with this topic. But let me know. Do you think this is a big deal? Do you think that this will be do you think they'll really run this in campaign ads a lot? Will it sway any people in the middle, or have someone on the left go on the right? Or just let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have General Electric with their windmill failure. Well, they're blaming it on a manufacturing defect, which that's not great. It's one of those things where the windmills in general are mostly trash, physically speaking, as well as for the environment, because they're not made of nice materials. But on average, again, it varies very much depending on where you put those windmills, because again, some parts of the world are much more windy than others. But on average, these things take about 22 years to break even. Also known as a trash investment. Terrible, 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 terrible. Again, that's to break even. That's not even to make positive. Keep in mind, you also have to maintain these things. It's not exactly an easy job. Now, this is a very interesting source. It's called the Nantucket Current, which, A+ for marketing. It's called the Nantucket Current. They got a little ocean on it. Pull that up really quick here. This is from J.C. Gradzeli, who's a writer over there, in which he says, quote, GE blames manufacturer deviation for vineyard wind turbine blade failure off Nantucket. There you can see that, jeez. There's a nice picture of that windmill with the blade just sheared right open like it was a little straw. Making a cardboard straw even more ineffective of a structure. Now they say, quote, GE Verona, the company that built the vineyard wind turbine that suffered a blade failure earlier this month, cited manufacturing deviation at a factory in Canada as a cause of the incident and vowed to reinspect all 150 blades produced at the plant. Quite a few. The remarks from GE Verona's leadership team came during the company's second quarter earnings conference call with investors that represented its first comments on the incident since the blade failed on July 13th. After debris from the blade began washing up on Nantucket South Shore Beach 2 days later, the Vineyard Wind project was shut down by the federal government, and the company continues to investigate the cause of the incident. GE Verona CEO Scott Starsake says, quote, while we continue to work to finalize the root cause analysis, our investigation to data indicates that the affected blade experienced a manufacturing deviation. We have not identified information indicating an engineering design flaw in the blade or information of the connection with the blade event we experienced at an offshore wind project in the UK, which was caused by an installation error out at sea. We are working with urgency to scrutinize our operation across offshore wind. Pace matters most. We are going to be thorough instead of rushed. Now, let's see. They also pull up, say, quote, it's been 11 days since that event, and just to reinforce from the start, we have no indications of an engineering design flaw. We have identified that material deviation or manufacturing deviation in one of our factories that through the inspection or quality assurance process, we should have identified. Because of that, we're going to use our existing data to reinspect all of the blades that we've made for offshore wind. Have fun with that. 150 blades. Imagine climbing up there or getting a crane. Or I don't know how you're going to actually conceivably inspect those. But yeah, in terms of quality assurance, they certainly, some might say drop the ball, but in this case, it's more like drop the blade. So not great news for General Electric. And again, on a project that really isn't fiscally well for decades. So definitely not reinforcing a lot of confidence for the investors. So not great news. And again, not having the quality assurance up to par and having that breakage. It was so bad the government had to federally shut it down, and you had the debris on all the beach. I gotta say, GE, that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving me a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.